Welcome to the Fishing Musicians with your host, musician, and lover of fishing, Mr. Glen Ferguson, and special guest host, musician, and comedian, Mr. Jimmy Flynn. You know, people everywhere in the whole world love good music, and everywhere you go, people love to go fishing. So join us for the next 30 minutes as we combine the best of both on the Fishing Musicians. The Fishing Musicians is brought to you by FergusonAudio.ca, your audio specialist. Edge Communications, your marketing content provider. Turf and Surf Adventures. Why not visit New Brunswick? This week on the Fishing Musicians.
Today we have the privilege of taking you fishing in my home province of New Brunswick, Canada. The Restigouche River. The Restigouche River offers up some amazing Atlantic salmon fishing and some stories about world-famous visitors. We fish the pools around Larry's Gulch, and then later on we head to my uncle's camp in New Brunswick on the Dungarvon for some great salmon and trout fishing. No, that's not my helicopter, nor is it Jimmy's, but some of the other guests do have a more sophisticated way of arriving at Larry's Gulch. It's a good thing for me the fish don't care what you drive. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're at Larry's Gulch in New Brunswick, Canada, on the pristine and beautiful and most incredible Restigouche River. We're on Larry's Gulch. Larry's Gulch is the premier salmon location on the Restigouche, or one of them anyway, and it's owned by the province of New Brunswick. We've been lucky enough to be invited, and we're with Neil Patneaud, the manager for the last 5 years at Larry's Gulch, and I'm really happy to be here. Now, this is the main lodge. All the comforts of well, more than a camp, I would say. What do you got cooking? What's for supper tonight? Salmon, maybe? Some world-class salmon? How big the fish are in the Restigouche. The largest fish ever caught on a fly rod in North America was caught on the Restigouche River, and you can visit the Atlantic Salmon Museum in Doketown, New Brunswick, and visit it. And you'll see it on the wall, a replication of it.
Yes, I think it was 72 pounds.
72 pounds from a man from Texas. Jimmy Flynn hadn't shown up yet, so there was only one thing we could do. Go fishing. Watch this thing come out of the water here. That's amazing how they can fight, eh? The Atlantic salmon. And they fight for the size. They're unbelievable. He's going. That sound, eh? It's magical. Oh, he's taking it again. Oh. Yee-hoo! But that's what they do. I just happened to take a break. Oh, it's going. Ah, there we go. Just happened to take a break. And I said to Michelle, I said, you're going to get one. And sure enough.
That feeling, huh?
Yeah, I got that feeling.
It's a good feeling.
Oh, we're gonna hold that up for the folks to see, Michelle, but he or she has still got a bit of life. Oh, they're so strong. They're such a strong fish. And it's amazing that they have this energy. It's good to try to bring them in as quick as you can because you don't want to stress them too much because they're up here for a reason. That's to spawn. They're not eating. They're here to have sex. Salmon sex.
Yeah, they do a couple of thousand kilometers for it anyway.
And for every pound of Atlantic salmon, there's approximately 800 eggs in the female. And a lot of times you'll see the female and there'll be 4, 5, 6 smaller males around, and they're all looking for a chance to get the opportunity to spawn with the female. In particular, the males become very aggressive around the last week of October, first week of November when they're spawning. That's a nice sized fish though. Ooh. And I think it's pretty silver too. Silver, darker it is means it's been in the river a little longer. Yes, start to kick in. They change from saltwater to freshwater. Hey! Ladies and gentlemen, my first Restigouche salmon that Michelle hooked. I don't care, I got to pull it in. Let's show the folks at home. Look at that. Restigouche salmon. Nice and fat. And off to swim another day. We'll show the folks at home that. A nice coloration. Now, how long do you think that would be in the river, Michelle?
Oh, he must have been, I'd say, a little while, at least 2 to 4 weeks.
And that's a male, obviously?
Yes.
And look at the bite mark or something, some kind of damage on the back fin here. Well, that
probably got hooked before.
Yeah. What a beautiful fish, nice and fat. Just giving it a nice little rub. They like to be massaged too. They do get stressed when you catch them, obviously, but...
Yeah, but he's still lively, see?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the way he treats him. So soft, you're barely touching him. And just, look at that. That's why people travel from all over the world to come here. That's just a 5 or 6 pounder, you said?
5.5.
5.5 pounds. They get up to 40 pounds, could you imagine? What a nice fish. Now that would be a first-time spawner?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I would say.
Come back sometime this summer, early summer. How long do you think that fish has been in the river?
I'd say at least a month.
Really?
Usually after a while, all over here starts getting reddish. There we go.
Off to swim another day. Thank you, Salmon, and thank you, Michelle.
Next year. Good job, Glen. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I at least brought in my first Restigouche salmon. We'll be right back with the fishing musicians. We were on our way back to see if Jimmy had caught up with us yet at Larry's Gulch on the Restigouche River. He did. Apparently he was lost. Something about signs.
Need bigger signs. But I think what he thought I said was Lower Gulch Road. Because Gulch Road was down there, right?
No signs, eh, Jimmy? Well, I hope you follow these guides a little better on the Restigouche.
Fish right out from the boat.
I don't know if she'll reach.
Okay, let's see how that one, if they like that.
Okay, folks, now it's time to see how an Atlantic salmon is caught on a dry fly. Fishing salmon takes a lot of patience, but when you do get that rise from that fish, you better be ready and know how to hook the fish. Keep an eye on the fly because Robert's obviously done this a few times.
See one? There's one fish on.
Big one, too.
Looks easy, eh? Whatever. You've got about a half a second to make a decision if you're going to pull back on that line and try to set the hook. If you're looking the other way, it's a good possibility you're going to lose the fish. The Atlantic salmon have a very unique life cycle. They are a world traveler. It is an anadromous fish, one that spawns in freshwater but spends much of its life at sea. They are born in freshwater in the river systems, and their internal systems adapt for salt water. After 3 to 5 years, the fish leave their streams, traveling to ocean feeding grounds. Salmon from both sides of the Atlantic rendezvous in the waters off of southwestern Greenland. After 1 or more years at sea, following a hereditary route and timetable, Atlantic salmon return to their home rivers in an extraordinary journey that may span more than 4,000 kilometers. If they return after 1 winter at sea, they are called grilse. Re-entering the same river in which they were born between April and November, they navigate upstream, leaping obstructions up to 3 meters high to spawn in shallow tributaries in late fall.
The action's been incredible. We lost 2 guides so far today. We're on our 3rd guide. Here he goes. Here he goes. Ooh.
So what are your thoughts right now, Jimmy, now that you're bringing in this massive Restigouche salmon?
Oh man, there's nothing like it. People only, take up fly fishing and take their kids fly fishing. And once you hook a fish like this, change your whole life. Look at you.
You know the things I put up with? I love you though, Jimmy.
Oh. Buddy said it's either. He said it's either off the big fish or my ex-wife.
What's the status on your reel there, Jim?
I got enough of a mess going on here.
Things are getting tense, folks. He's got the Restigouche tangle.
Yeah, the Restigouche tangle. The Jimmy Flynn knot going on.
Will not come out. That's a will not.
Will not. That's a big fish.
That is. How big do you think that is? 12 pounds.
man. You can get him, Robert. Oh, look at the size of this fish, look. Yeah, have we got enough? I had enough.
Well, your arm falls off.
Oh, he goes again. No, he saw you. He doesn't like to look at you either.
We got serious technical issues going on here.
Hello, come in, Tokyo. Look at the size of this fish. Hold on.
Here, I'll do it.
He's about a tail. Bring him right up and have a look at him. Yeah, right down here, Glen. Bring him right in.
Oh,
Wow.
Look at that beautiful fish.
Okay, bring him right over here so Glen can kiss this one.
My first Restigouche salmon kiss. Don't bite me. Ah, baby. Congratulations, Jimmy. Well, it's a pleasure having you co-hosting on the Fishing Musicians. We had Robert last night. I'd like to thank Robert Taylor for inviting us here. Had an amazing time fishing on the Larry's Gulch. He's over there.
Thanks, buddy.
You're very welcome.
What a great time.
Well.
You know the best part about this? We still got time to catch another one.
Yes, let's go. You're watching the Fishing Musicians. Well, it's 9:05 a.m. and it's day 3 at Larry's Gulch in the morning. And of course, Michel Levesque, our guide, brings us to the hot spots here on the Restigouche River. They usually beach the fish here in the mornings. What do we got on here, Michel?
It's a ginger bomber.
Ginger bomber. And what kind of size fish is this? Big. I haven't even tried to really pull on him. I'm scared. He's big. Oh man. I remember the first time my wife went to Newfoundland. She always known that I've gone fishing, and I bring her out once in a while. And she always was open to the idea of salmon fishing. She thinks it's a very elegant and beautiful sport. Obviously, it's fun to catch the fish, but the whole art of fly fishing is a whole different thing in the presentation. But anyway, she went to Newfoundland on a business trip. And rather than go golfing, like all the rest of her party went, different agencies across the country, they were going on a golf tournament, but they had the option of salmon fishing. And she caught her first Atlantic salmon. Hey, it's a grilse. Grilse for you folks who just joined us. Grilse is a first-time spawner. Anywhere from, I don't know, 16 to 24 inches, Michel, sometimes bigger, 30 inches, 5 or 6, 7 pounds.
In general, they're around 20 to 25 inches.
20 to 25 inches. Nice and fat. Let's check this puppy out here. One thing about the grilse here, and they're different everywhere. Like we're not that far from Newfoundland, and the fish really vary in size. In Newfoundland, they're a lot smaller. The grilse are the same size, but the salmon get much larger here in Restigouche. Well, actually, world record size. Little male, yes, with the kipe. For those folks who don't know what this is called, oh, that little.
They won't know.
Michel, thanks a lot.
They're very welcome.
That little thing in their nose is called a kipe. I think Jimmy Flynn's got his own kipe. Whenever I go fishing, I always try to bring a guitar. And in most cases, there's always someone around the camp who likes to listen to music or even play some. And sometimes it's magical to mix our sounds with the pure sounds of nature. God, I love fishing.
got the Gulch blues, Gulch blues. Oh, I think I ate too much, drank too much booze. I got the Gulch blues. And if they feed me any more stories, I'm gonna be filled up to the throat. I got the Gulch blues. You're watching The Fishing Musicians.
You know, to guide a lot of different people that come in here, it's not just your average Joe, and I mean everyone's average of course, but there's some pretty high profile people that come in here, and when you're guiding these people, you're usually alone with them. There's no better sales tool to say for a river, oh, and he just missed a fish, is bringing people like George W. Bush Sr. to fish. Former Prime Minister Mulrooney, they were both here the same day, and who's lucky enough to guide Mr. George Bush? Mr. Michel Levesque. How do you get to be the man to guide for Mr. George Bush?
I'm not sure, Glenn. I think I was pretty lucky. Pretty lucky. From what I heard, they were selecting through the province, but I'm not really sure how they did their selections.
So what do you talk about when you're sitting with one of the most powerful men in the world 10 years ago, and probably obviously his son's president at the time that we're talking about this, but what a respectable man, and what an incredible history, and you know.
To be honest with you, Glenn, we talked about everything. I mean, he's an open mind guy. He likes to speak about, you know, the States, Canada, natural things, fishing. You know, we went through it all. That was the interesting part. Very, very interesting man to be with.
And for a tip, usually you'll get tipped at the end of your 3-day stay with the different parties that are in here. What did he give you as a tip?
Actually, I got 2 pictures of him, and one of the pictures was him alone, and he autographed the picture eventually. And the other tip was another picture, me and him together, and it was autographed. And he gave me a pair of presidential cufflinks.
Wow.
That also goes with that, which are signed by his name. So, wow, that's all I can say. It was just amazing.
Imagine what those things would be worth. And I know obviously you wouldn't try to sell them, and you've been telling us stories of what people would offer to pay for those. That's something else.
Oh yeah, people, well, there's a lot of collectors out there, huh? And to get an item from a next president or a present president, it's something else. And I consider myself pretty lucky to have been given those. So I'm not really interested in selling them at all.
Well, I know from our experience here, and we get to fish with a lot of different guides and things, and you're a really cool guy, and you've done a really great job. We really appreciate all the things you've done for us. We've really enjoyed our trip here.
Thank you, guys.
It's been
It was my pleasure.
Well, it's been a pleasure. You know, you've gone from people like President Bush to just a basic riffraff like me. I'd like to thank everyone at Larry's Gulch. This is all the time we have here on the Restigouche River in New Brunswick, Canada. Thank everyone at Larry's Gulch, the amazing food, the amazing hospitality. We had a great time, and on behalf of myself, Mr. Glen Ferguson, your host, and the co-host, Mr. Jimmy Flynn, until next time, tight lines on the Fishing Musicians. Peace. New Brunswick is full of diverse fishing experiences. Jimmy and I moved down to a more humble but no less exciting camp that is part of the fabric of my personal fishing history. The more I go fishing here, the more I realize how lucky I am to live in a place that has so much natural beauty. Well, folks, we're on the Dungarvon River in New Brunswick, Canada. I finally made it back to my Uncle Murray Allen's camp. It's 20 years since I've been here, and 20 years ago he brought me to the same place. This is called Frying Pan Pool, and actually the Department of Natural Resources in New Brunswick here have several locations like this where they capture the salmon, keep them for statistical information, and sometimes use them for broodstock to enhance the same rivers that they're in other rivers. So it's kind of a neat idea. The water's really low. And talking to the person in charge here, there's 423 fish in this pool right now. They capture them here and then release them after moose season, after September 15th. Now, but what happens is the fish come up the river this way and usually travel in the evening, and he said he's got as many as 55 fish in one evening. What happens, the fish come through this barrier, they come through and have no way of getting out until the evening. And what happens, the people come in, the workers here, and they'll grab the fish, do statistical counts, numbers, etc., and then take whatever information they need and place them into the pool, and obviously there's a whack of fish in there right now. It's a 1 hour's bumpy ride from Boys Town, New Brunswick into my uncle's camp on the Dungarvon River. We weren't there very long at all before we had our gear ready to go and headed down to the pools. I thought I'd do some trout fishing this trip, and Jimmy focused on the Atlantic salmon. There's a fish right over there. There. Come and grab that. Well, we're at the Dungarvon River, tributary of the Miramichi, and Jimmy and our guide Don have gone up. And I always think it's a good idea to do some fishing before you actually even get up there. Look at that, nice little trout. The speckled trout, native speckled sea trout. Check out the colors on that. Beautiful little fish. Hopefully release it. Let it go swim another day. There you go. Beautiful little fish. There we go. No, that wasn't the one. Nice though. There we go. Right there. Watch it come up to the top of the water. Can you guys see that at home? There's gonna be one right about. Here we go. You know what the problem is, folks? I've debarred my hook. I have too many of them. There we go. There, I got a little one on. This time, I'm using a little green bug with the barb on for trout. Now that's a good sign because of the fact that at least the fish went for it. That looks like a little salmon par to me. That is a little salmon par. Show the folks at home the beautiful colors. I don't like to keep them in the water too long. There you go. They're vibrant little fish. When I count my blessings, I start with my family, next I count my friends, and then I am grateful for the place that I call home. No matter if you're fishing the exclusive pools on the big rivers and staying at private resorts, or casting a fly into a small pool on a tributary river, New Brunswick is truly an angling treasure. The Dungarvon River is somewhat of a famous place. An old New Brunswick folktale tells the story of a mysterious murder of a cook in a lumber camp on the Dungarvon River in the 1860s. It is said that his spirit haunted the area around the camp for some time after his death. Some say that blood-curdling hoot can still be heard echoing through the woods today. Be careful and watch out for the hooper. Sometimes it's just not about catching fish. But a night like tonight is pretty special. There's no flies, perfect temperature, lots of wildlife around here, and I'm sure we're gonna see something in our adventure to the Dungarvon River in New Brunswick. Fish and trout, salmon. Well, this concludes another episode of the Fishing Musicians. Being from New Brunswick, we sure hope that you can visit us because it is truly a remarkable place. Thank you to the Province of New Brunswick, Department of Tourism, and Department of Natural Resources, and a special thanks to my Uncle Murph for being such a mentor and one of the reasons why I started the Fishing Musicians. Until next time, I'm Glen Ferguson, your host. Tight lines, keep the peace, everyone, conserve our waters, and take care.
Well said.
Cheers for having us.
Cheers, yeah.